what truly happens when we die. Not to our bodies, but to the soul, that eternal aspect of us that thinks, feels, remembers, and loves. Across cultures, times, and traditions, mystics and seers have spoken of a truth few dare to confront, and fewer still understand. Death is not the end, it is the awakening. In the very moment the physical body ceases its final breath, something extraordinary begins. There is no darkness, no void. Instead, there is a profound lightness, a sense of release so complete that those who have touched it, even for a moment, often return changed forever. The soul detaches from its biological shell not with fear but with wonder. Those who've had near-death experiences describe this moment as if the chains of gravity are lifted. Time slows, space dissolves. What was once so real becomes a dream, and what was once dismissed as dream becomes more real than anything ever felt. And yet, in those first few moments after death, there can be confusion. The soul, still holding remnants of identity and memory, may not immediately understand what has happened. It sees loved ones grieving, it sees its own body, lifeless, still, and it reaches out instinctively. Tries to speak, tries to comfort, but there are no words, no voice, only presence. This is where the journey begins. The silver cord and the threshold of transition. Throughout life, a subtle energetic tether, what mystics call the silver cord, connects the physical body to the soul. It stretches between dimensions like a filament of light, linking spirit to flesh. At the moment of death, it is severed, and with it the soul is free, but freedom comes with awakening. The soul begins to perceive with new senses, not of the body but of consciousness. Vision is no longer limited by light. Hearing is no longer confined to sound. Every color, every note, every texture amplifies, expands, becomes imbued with meaning. This moment is not one of erasure. On the contrary, it is a return, a remembering. The soul starts to recall who it really is, not as a name or a job or a role in someone else's story, but as a being of light, wisdom, and eternal presence. Confusion, resistance, and the first contact. But awakening does not look the same for all souls. For those heavily attached to material life, those whose belief systems denied anything beyond the grave, there can be resistance. Some may remain near their physical body or their loved ones, unwilling to let go. They may attempt to make contact. These are often the moments when those still living feel an inexplicable presence, a whisper in a dream, a flickering light, a sudden sense of being held. These are not hallucinations, they are echoes of the soul reaching out across the veil. In fact, the majority of after-death visitations occur in the first days and weeks after transition. It is the soul's natural instinct to reassure, to say, "I'm okay, I'm still here." But soon, a new phase begins. The life review, not judgment, but understanding the soul, now fully detached from its former body, enters what mystics call the life review. But this is not the judgment day you've heard of. There are no thrones, no punishments, no condemning voices. Instead, there is understanding. The soul does not merely remember its life, it relives it, every moment, every word, every choice. But here's the truth few understand. The soul experiences not only what it felt in life, but also what others felt because of it. That unkind comment, you feel the sting it caused. That unexpected kindness, you feel the joy it sparked. Every ripple of your existence returns. It is not to shame, it is to teach, to illuminate. This is the soul's opportunity to see its life from every angle, to integrate its purpose, and to grow. One man, Michael, shared through mediumship that after his sudden passing, he saw not just his own memories but experienced his entire life through others' eyes. Even the moments I had long forgotten, he said, were still alive in those I touched. I didn't realize how much I mattered. That is the truth most of us forget in life. We matter far more than we realize. After the initial adjustment, after the tears are wiped away from a life left behind, the soul steps through a new threshold, and what it finds on the other side is breathtaking. The second phase of the journey, typically unfolding over the 2nd to 4th months after death, is a time of reunion and recognition. The soul, no longer tethered to physical form, begins to feel its true home calling. The homecoming, soul groups and kindred spirits. Have you ever met someone on earth and felt like you've known them forever? A connection so deep, so effortless that it defies logic? This is not coincidence, it is memory. We each travel through lifetimes with a soul group, a cluster of kindred spirits who reincarnate together again and again. These are not always romantic partners or family members. Sometimes they appear as friends, mentors, even rivals, but their role is always the same: to help us grow. In this phase, the soul begins to reunite with its soul family, beings who love us beyond conditions, who recognize us not by appearance but by frequency. The joy of this reunion is beyond words. One soul, communicating through a trance medium, described it as remembering everything I never knew I'd forgotten. I wasn't meeting them. I was reuniting with myself. You are not alone. You never were. The deepening review, lifetimes within lifetimes. And now the review deepens. The soul not only relives its most recent life, it begins to see the pattern across many lifetimes. Lessons rise to the surface, cycles of behavior that have repeated again and again, challenges that return until understood, gifts that were once misused, now reclaimed. This is not punishment, it is illumination. The soul is shown its progress across the grand arc of evolution. It begins to understand the why behind the experiences, why that painful betrayal happened, why the illness appeared, why certain people could not stay. From this higher vantage, it sees what once felt random was in fact divine design. As Edgar Cayce said, the soul exists in an eternal now. There is no past or future, only layers of unfolding consciousness. And in this eternal now, all lifetimes inform one another. The cosmic classroom, learning beyond words. It's at this point that many souls enter what can only be described as spiritual classrooms, but not in the way we know classrooms. There are no chalkboards, no teachers standing before desks. Instead, there are fields of light where truth is absorbed directly into the soul. Knowledge is not taught, it is remembered. Transmission happens through vibration, not lecture. Some describe entering vast halls of knowledge where timelines are visible like rivers of light. Others speak of receiving downloads from luminous beings, teachers and guides whose wisdom cannot be measured in years or books. This is the realm of soul education, not the gathering of facts, but the unfolding of truth. And for those who passed with pain still etched into their being, this is also a time of healing. Vibrational therapies, light, color, sacred sound restore the soul's essence. Wounds are not erased but transformed. Every scar becomes a symbol of strength. Seeing the meaning in the suffering here, the soul sees the hidden meaning in its suffering. Thomas, who passed after years of addiction, shared from the beyond, that his struggle awakened compassion in others. His darkest days became someone else's turning point. His brokenness became the bridge that helped someone else stand. He saw that his journey wasn't a failure, it was an offering. Pain, viewed from the soul's vantage, becomes something holy. Not because it is desirable, but because it is transformational. From this realm, the soul understands that the purpose of life was never comfort. It was growth, evolution, awakening. The soul learns to reach back. By the end of this phase, the soul gains more mastery. It learns to project intention, to send presence across dimensional boundaries. Have you ever felt a whisper of peace when you were grieving? A dream so vivid it felt real? A song on the radio at just the right moment? That may not have been random. It may have been a soul now wise and stable reaching out. Thought is now its movement, intention is now its language, and love is still its bond. By the 5th month after physical death, the soul has shed much of its earthly residue. It is no longer caught between worlds, no longer unsure of its identity. Now it stands in clarity, aware of its multidimensional self, preparing to take the next great step: integration. This is the phase where all the wisdom gathered from Earth and beyond is not merely understood, but absorbed. It becomes the fabric of the soul itself. The knowledge gained in the review, the love rekindled in reunions, the pain transmuted into strength. It all crystallizes. Think of it like rain seeping into the roots of a tree. Quiet, powerful, permanent, becoming what it has learned. Many souls describe this phase as the moment when they stop learning about compassion and start being compassion. They don't study forgiveness, they become it. They don't memorize spiritual truths, they radiate them. This is the deep embodiment of spirit. It's here that the soul glimpses its blueprint, the unique spiritual architecture it has carried across all incarnations. Its gifts, its challenges, its signature energy. Some souls are healers, others teachers. Some hold the frequency of courage, others innovation, creativity, patience, or sacred humor. These are not traits learned in school. They are soul specialties cultivated over eons, and now, in this phase, they begin to shine like stars emerging from the mist. The Karma Code, understanding cause and creation. During this period, the soul also gains full access to the mechanics of karma, not as a system of punishment, but as a symphony of balance. It sees how every intention, every action, every withheld truth or given kindness echoes. Sarah, in spirit communication, shared that 6 months after her death, she finally understood why her parents couldn't give her the love she needed. From her higher perspective, she saw it wasn't a failure of them, but a sacred opportunity for her to develop inner resilience and become the very love she once lacked. Her wounds weren't random, they were catalysts. In this karmic awareness, souls begin to understand why they chose specific experiences: the difficult childhood, the illness, the relationship that broke them open, not as burdens but as classrooms. The soul's contribution begins. And now, something beautiful happens. The soul, having integrated much, begins to give back. It does not wait to be reborn. It begins serving now. Some souls assist the living, sending healing to loved ones or guiding others through grief. Others act as spiritual mentors for newly departed souls, helping them orient after death with grace and clarity. Edgar Cayce spoke of this phenomenon, that many souls serve actively from spiritual realms, not passively watching but co-creating from behind the veil. There is a purpose unfolding even in death, a quiet heroism unseen but deeply felt. Possibility, timeline exploration, and multidimensional freedom. Freed from the laws of time and space, the soul also begins to explore alternate paths, timelines. It sees the roads not taken. What would have happened if a different choice had been made? How one conversation might have changed a relationship? How one act of forgiveness could have shifted generations? This is not regret, it is revelation. It awakens a reverence for choice, for the power of a single decision, for the miracle of free will. Some souls, through this exploration, even help other beings facing similar crossroads, offering energetic support and clarity across dimensions. Yes, consciousness is that interconnected. The cosmic lens, dual awareness emerges. At this level, many souls report developing dual perception. One soul described it as seeing through my eyes and through God's at the same time. This is cosmic perspective. The soul no longer identifies as just me or I. It sees itself as a wave within the ocean, and also as the ocean itself. Distinct, infinite, united. This duality dissolves suffering, it dissolves fear. The soul now understands that it can never truly be alone, broken, or lost, because it is part of something eternally whole. Purification and final healing. Yet even here, some work remains. If the soul carries unresolved emotional patterns, guilt, shame, fear, this is the time of final purification. But unlike punishment, this is a loving release. With the support of advanced beings, the soul confronts what remains heavy, not to judge it, but to set it free. Just as the body might heal with time, so too does the soul in a field of unconditional love. By the 8th month, the soul has integrated its earth life, healed its fractures, remembered its gifts, and opened to its cosmic nature. Now it is ready for something new. As the soul approaches the 1-year mark after its departure from the physical body, it reaches a sacred threshold, the period of decision. This is not a command from a higher authority. It is not imposed. It is chosen. Having remembered, healed, integrated, and served, the soul now asks a simple but profound question. What now? And the universe answers, you are ready to choose. The soul council in the seat of wisdom. This phase begins in the presence of the soul council, a circle of highly evolved spiritual beings. Not rulers, not judges, but wise elders, mentors, companions. Their presence is serene, their insight limitless. Together with the soul, they review everything, the lessons learned across lifetimes, the energy still seeking balance, the gifts ready for expression, the threads of karma still in motion. There is no pressure, only possibility, no command, only clarity. From here, the soul sees all potential futures not as prophecy but as invitation. It understands that no path is wasted, no incarnation meaningless, no challenge ever truly failed. And now, the soul decides. The return, if the soul chooses rebirth. For many souls, the decision is to return to the physical world, to take on another life. But this is not a punishment. It is not a test. It is a mission. The soul sees clearly what qualities it wants to grow next, maybe patience, resilience, compassion, or courage. It chooses its environment with precision. The geography, the family, the culture, even key relationships and events. Everything is selected with care to support its evolution. Every hardship is a potential teacher. Every joy, a reflection of its growth. Souls also make agreements with others. I will be your child in this life. We'll meet again, this time as friends. This time, I will help you heal. These soul contracts form the hidden architecture of every earthly life. And though we may forget them on earth, our souls remember. Or the soul ascends to higher realms. But not all souls return to earth. Some choose to ascend to higher vibrational realms where physical form is no longer needed. In these dimensions, souls may serve as guides for the living, as protectors for emerging civilizations, or as creators of energy systems that shape entire star systems. They may engage in what is sometimes described as cosmic artistry, building worlds of light, harmony, and truth. Others may become mentors, whispering wisdom into the hearts of those on earth who are ready to listen. These souls are not retired. They are activated, their service expanding beyond time and form. The release of identity and the peace of alignment. Before the soul takes its next step, whether into flesh or light, it performs one last sacred act, the release of identity. It lets go of its attachment to the life just lived. Not to forget, but to transcend. It retains the wisdom, the love, the growth. But it no longer defines itself by that name, that story, that face. It is no longer the character. It is the consciousness behind the character. And with that release comes an indescribable peace, a resonance with its truest vibration, a feeling of, I am who I've always been. Sarah, speaking through a deep trance channel 11 months after her passing, described it as becoming the ocean again without losing the memory of being a wave. The journey is not over. It never is now. The soul is ready. The year of transformation is complete. What began in mystery now ends in mastery. What began in silence now ends in song. The soul is not the same as it was. It is more whole, more luminous, more awake. And yet, this is not the end. The soul does not rest. It continues, evolving across realms, dancing through dimensions, forever guided by the pulse of love and the rhythm of truth. For the living, a new understanding of death. And what does this mean for us, the living? It means that death is not something to fear, but something to understand. It means that those we've lost are not truly lost. They walk beside us, whisper in our dreams, guide our steps. They are not gone. They are transformed, and one day when it is our time to release the body, we too will be met, not by darkness but by recognition. We will remember who we are, we will remember where we've been, and we will remember that we never truly left. The soul is eternal. You are the soul. You are not your name, not your past, not your body. You are awareness, a creator, a traveler of time and space. And one day you will return home, not as something broken, but as something expanded. Because the soul doesn't end, it becomes.